Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, hello everyone. My name is Sherry West, and I'm the founder and CEO of Live Girl. And I want to welcome you to our Listen, Learn, Act conversation series. And I just want to start by saying that at Live Girl, we believe that conversation is the catalyst for change. So back in April, amid the national reckoning on race, we launched our new Listen, Learn, Act conversation series. It's been thoughtfully designed to engage young people in equality, inclusion, and racial justice advocacy. Because in order to achieve equality, we must learn, unlearn, and listen to, and then amplify the voices of color and experience. So today's topic is advocacy, and as our featured guest speaker likes to say, advocate or be quiet. When she said that to our Camp Live Girl this summer, I just knew it was a new tagline that we had to repeat. But advocacy means to move people to action. And the tools of advocacy can include social media campaigns, research and data, education, personal influence and persuasion, coalition building, organizing, and action. And so today we're thrilled to bring to you an expert on advocacy and building movements. And I will introduce the person that's going to introduce our guest, which is Tiara Starks, one of our amazing college interns. She's our equality and inclusion intern, and she is a junior from the University of New Haven. She's so amazing, brilliant, and bold, and we're so lucky to have her on our team. And Tiara, you want to do the honors with introducing our guest today?
Yeah, of course. Okay. So Bobbi Brown is a native of Bridgeport, Connecticut. From a very young age, Bobbi was active in her community. She's traveled across the state of Connecticut speaking at events, empowering young people everywhere. After graduating from Oral Roberts University, she returned to her hometown with a renewed passion to pour back into her community. She launched her own radio talk show called Let's Talk Brown, where she covers relevant topics pertaining to youth and current events. She's also been an active member of the NAACP for years, serving on the national board and holding a state-level position. Whether Bobbi is speaking in front of thousands of people during a protest, marching with Al Sharpton in another setting, or speaking to an intimate group of young girls, her goal remains constant: to empower her listeners to take active roles in their own growth and the improvement of their communities. So, Bobbi, it's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity. And to Ms. West, it's such an honor to yet again be amongst great leadership, but also to share some great information. And I appreciate the invite again.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming back to Live Girl, Bobbi. And you're such an inspiration. We have heard so much about the important work you're doing with 100 Girls Leading, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And thank you for coming back, because you joined us this summer at our virtual Camp Live Girl, and your passion just lit up the screen. And you talked just a little bit about advocacy at that time because you were covering a lot more ground. But we knew that we had to have you back to kind of talk about this one topic in more detail. So thank you for coming back.
No problem.
Awesome. So let's just jump straight into it. So Bobbi, what jump-started your passion for advocacy? So what age were you, and what event or experience kind of influenced you to start being an advocate?
Awesome. So actually, I was a freshman in high school. I went to Warren High School in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And this gentleman came into the school, and he was telling us about this amazing organization called the NAACP. Now, then I was very, very shy. I didn't talk much. I still am here or there, but I didn't talk a lot. So he was like, would you like to join this program? And I was like, oh, sure. I joined the program, and it changed my life. It took a shy girl out of her shell and really exposed me to great opportunities throughout Connecticut and even on the national level as well. I met thousands of youth from all over the world that had the same fire and passion that I did about social justice issues, but also people of color, people who didn't look like me. It taught me that advocacy, most people think that when you advocate for something, you're advocating for what it is for you personally. But I truly believe just being a part of the NAACP changed my perspective, because there were people advocating about environment, education, Black individuals' rights, human rights. So I learned at a young age that it's not just one thing, it's a number of things. And whatever you choose to do, you put your fire behind it. And that organization opened up opportunities for me. I became the president of the Bridgeport chapter. Then I went from president to state president of the Connecticut chapter. Then I went all the way to the national league, and I was on the national board as well for youth in college. And I started seeing how powerful it could be if other young people were just like me, that were given the opportunity to learn about advocacy and learn how their voices mattered. I think what caused me to be more inspired was the simple fact that someone tapped me on the shoulder and says, what you think matters, what your voice matters, and how you feel matters. And I think that's important for a lot of young people across the world to understand that, you know, to be an advocate is one thing, but to understand that you matter is another thing. So over the years and times, I started realizing that I had a passion for whatever was going on in my community that I felt that needed a voice to it. I chose it and I made it my voice. It didn't have to affect me directly, but if my friend or my sister or my brother was experiencing this, I ought to join the fight with them, and I ought to let that issue be known, and allow people to understand how valuable it is to gather people together to advocate for something and to hold those in office accountable and leadership accountable. So yes, so my topic and my theme that I always say is advocate or be quiet, because a lot of times we see a lot of people who always complain, and advocacy and complaining are two different things. Two different things. Complaining is you just continue to say something and you do nothing. Advocacy is you say something, you see what it is, and you do something. So advocate or be quiet is important. The topic, the theme, whatever, the mantra, I think it's important that people understand that you can't just complain about it. You can't just get on Facebook and say, this is an issue, I'm mad about this, and then you do nothing on your local level. Your power, what is your power that you're using? How are you affecting your community? So I started, you know, because we're in the era of social media where people quick to write something up there and then be mad at someone who did something different than what they did. But what were you doing all along? So yeah, so advocate or be quiet. And I think high school opened up my eyes for me, because there were tons of things within my own high school that I thought needed attention. So because I was a part of this organization, it helped mold me, and it helped me stand on my soapbox every once in a while and say, this is not right. How could we as a community or high school students change that? And then it has followed me ever since.
That's amazing. Oh, Sherry, you're on mute.
Thank you. Sorry, I love that. You have the best taglines: advocate or be quiet. And now the next one is, whatever you do, put your fire behind it. It's, I love your tags. And you've certainly done that now with the movement you've created, hashtag 100 Girls Leading. So can you just tell us a little bit more about that movement, kind of what sparked that idea, how you went about organizing it, and kind of the impact and the mission of that work?
Awesome, sure. So 100 Girls Leading also comes out of and is birthed out of advocacy. I realized that in my own community that there were a lot of, so I mentor, and then I also tutor. I do a whole lot of things. But my passion is I started talking to a group of young girls, and it was random how it happened. And they were talking about things that they didn't see in their community and things that they wanted to see in their community. And I started just like taking like little mental notes. And then I had asked them, I said, well, these are things that you guys are upset that are not happening in your community. What if I could put something together that hits on these different topics? And the girls started pouring their different ideas and different things. And I said, you know what, I can, with the power that I have and the network that I have, I can link that up with other individuals and make that possible for these girls. So 100 Girls Leading was built off of community conversation with young teenagers that were freshmen to high schoolers. They started talking about the things that they want to see. So one of those things was, Miss, they call me Miss, but like, Miss, we don't have enough women mentors in our community. And I come from Bridgeport. There's tons of women that I know are doing great things, but there's people like me and Sherry that run businesses, run companies, run this or run that. And sometimes we don't get a chance to do what we love to do outside of the work that we do every day. So every day I go to work from 8:30 to 4:30. I work in marketing and communications. I'm a communications director, coordinator. So I create content all day long. However, when 4:30 is done, I become this go at it community leader, because I believe that I still have to give all my talents, give my talents of me, which is back to my community. And I said to myself, there are other women that are like me that don't have that opportunity. So I was listening to what the girls said, and then I was also thinking about how can I make the two merge together. And from there, I linked up within my network, and my network went from 2 to 3 women to over 100 women in a couple of months. Just talking to women and finding out, hey, you own a business, hey, you teach, hey, you're a professor, hey, you own, just different women that came from all walks of lives. And they came together and said to me, I can give you one day. I can't give you every day, but I can give you one day of interactive mentoring. And that's where I get the interactive mentoring portion, because most people think of mentors as individuals who call you, pick you up all the time, but sometimes we're not able to do that. So what I said to the women, I said, well, give me what you can do. And they said, well, we can give you one day. And I said, that's where I come from, the tagline of just having one day of interactive mentoring, giving girls an opportunity to network and meet these women who are working in Fortune 500 companies, who are running their own business, who are principals, who are leaders in the community that these girls don't know about. And it brought me back to one of the most inspiring moments of my life. And I don't know where this individual is now, but I remember when I was getting ready to go away to college, and you know how colleges, once you put your information in, they start sending you tons and tons of letters to recruit you to go to their school. And the mail person at that time was a woman. And every time she dropped off the mail just in time for me to get home from school, she would ask me, did you make a decision yet? Did you make a decision yet? What school are you going to? What are you thinking about for your future? And this was just a conversation every day. And then I started realizing that I have 1,001 mentors. I have women who are worried and invested in me. No, I didn't know this woman didn't call me all the time and say, let me take you out to lunch. She cared about something that was important to me. She knew I wanted to go away to school. She was just excited about my future as I was. And I said that to myself, like she would share little gems and drop off little cute sayings to remind me about school. And that's what I started pulling on, my network of women that I knew that could provide that same experience to these girls in my city. And it went from just a meeting of women. The meeting went from 50 women, our first meeting, and then now we're up to 200 something women that volunteer freely once a year. And we host 100 Girls Leading once a year. We consider ourselves as the hub for mentoring programs. We can get the girls together. We just need the programs that are doing it, like Live Girl and other programs, to say, hey, we'll partner with you and we'll continue the work that you have started. So our job is to make the connection and then push the girls into programs like Live Girl to say, hey, finish out what we've created. We've introduced these girls to what you guys do. Now let's make that continued relationship, because I understand that these women who volunteer don't have that opportunity to do it every day. And I thought that was the powerful thing about 100 Girls Leading, is that we were able to say we can't do it all, but we know a sisterhood that can. We can introduce the girls, and we know a sisterhood that can build those foundational relationships that will continue on. And even though 100 Girls Leading is not in the schools like we normally do with COVID, since COVID is happening, they still reach out to us. They still ask us about scholarship opportunities, programs that they can reach out to. And in our database, we say, hey, here's this program, here's that program, here's what you could do here. I think it's all about that passion that we remind the girls that we're teaching them relationships, we're teaching them the power of connections, and we're also teaching programs and reminding mentors that you're needed, because just because you can't do it every day doesn't mean you're not needed. And it just takes a mail woman or a salon, a beautician, or a community leader, or a parent to say, hey, I could be that for your daughter, and I want to make sure that we do that for everyone else's daughter. So that's pretty much 100 Girls Leading in a nutshell.
Again, your passion is so contagious. And I love that you emphasize that for you, advocacy is about leaning on your network to build a movement and to build the coalition. And I think that's so brilliant. And we often coach our young women about the importance of networking. And in my experience, Bobbi, like through Live Girl, is reaching out to men and women to support our cause, to support, the next generation of fierce, diverse, bold women. I've never had anyone say no. And that's what I always tell my girls is like, get out there with your cause and ask people, for help, because most people like have good hearts and want to get involved and want to help. Sometimes they just don't know how. So I love that you're focusing in on that, leaning into your network to build your coalition. That's great. Tia, you want to hop in with the next question?
Yeah, sure. So, Bobbi, what advice do you have for young people, and what do you think is a good age to start your advocacy journey? I know that you said you started when you were about 14. You said you were a freshman.
Mhm.
So, do you think that is probably the perfect age, or could you even start when you're younger?
So, to answer, I didn't remember the first part of your question. If you could just bring the first part of it back again, sorry.
Yeah. So, what advice do you have for young
Okay.
people? Yeah. Mhm.
So I'll answer both of them.
Mhm.
I would say advocacy starts very young. Even from a child, children know when they're hungry, so they're going to advocate for that snack that they see at the store. They girls know when they want that new fashion sneakers or clothes. They know how to ask and then be creative enough to get you to convince that that's what they need. So I would say advocacy starts at the moment that you're able to learn the value of asking. And then when you learn the value of asking is now what do you do when you ask after you've already asked for it? So I would say, we deal with girls that are ages of 5. We deal with girls ages 5 to 19. At 18, I'm sorry. And then we build on that right there because you already know that it's something that you want to see or do. And then we just help shape that mindset of advocacy. And we also help shape that mindset of what it is that we need to see within our community. So I would say 5 and up, because you can teach them young about what's important and what they think is important and reminding them that it's important. And then looking at it, I would say to any young person that is looking to actually see the lens of what's going on, it's important for them to not just sit and look at what's happening on TV. See what's happening within your community. One of the bigger things that we've been pushing also with 100 Girls Leading and some of the young people throughout my community, because I've had an opportunity to network with not just my nonprofit, but other nonprofits and other groups, teaching young people to see what's happening in their own community. We always wait until election time or when it's voting season in order to find out the important issues that are happening in the world. I remind young people the important issues are happening right in your own communities. They're happening right here in your town, your school, your mayoral area, wherever it is, it's happening right now. So the moment that young people start identifying where issues are and then start getting with other young people and start thinking about how they can impact those issues or change the narrative, that has also been a running thing that we've been doing, is teaching young people to change the narrative. I think a lot of times we are quick to say this is wrong, and then don't understand that this doesn't have to stay this way. It can change immediately or it can change over time. So I would tell young people out there 3 things. Why is it important to you? So ask yourself, what is it that you're fighting for and why is it important to you? Like, you need to know why it's important. Why is it important to your community? Why is it important to you? The next thing is, how do you believe you can impact that? So, perfect example, I realized that our educational system in my city wasn't doing great. There wasn't people who were reflecting me and my peers, because now me and my peers I don't have any children, but my peers have children. So I was like, you know what, how can I get involved? I ran for office. That's one way to get involved. That may not be everybody's story, but that's one way I thought about getting involved. And it was the ripple effect of me getting involved that now has inspired other young people to want to run for office, to see that then not only can you advocate, but you can actually make real change. You can vote on policy, you can vote on change in your community. So teaching them that sometimes your next step may be a huge leap. It may be a huge jump. And most people are afraid of the jump. But I guarantee if you jump with the mindset that you're going to make good change, I believe someone's on the bottom that can catch you. Some mentor, some leader, some person can catch you and help guide you to where you need to be. And then finally, be proud of yourself. Because a lot of times we think that because it doesn't go well this time or it doesn't look the best, we tend to, hold it over our heads that we didn't do the right thing. I believe that if you do what you believe in the right heart and in the right ambition and in the right spirit, nothing but success can come from it. Lessons that you learn around on the journey are important, but they're not there to beat you over the head and say, you should have did this, you should have did that. I don't believe that is why we get lessons. We get lessons to learn and say, hey, this worked, this didn't work. So I will look at it that way, and just reminding young people that their voice has power. I am watching literally young people across the nation stand up for something they believe in, whether it's the death of George Floyd, whether it's the ecosystem and environmental justice, whether it's politics, whether it's police brutality, whether it's rights for what they believe in that they should be, whether it's sexuality, whatever it may be, young people are finding their thing and focusing on it, and then building their group of peers to say, hey, this is important to me. It may not be important to you, but stand with me. And then when it's your turn, I'll stand with you. I think that's the most important thing about this network and that we're building with these group of young people, is to say, hey, after you've done everything that you've done, you have a great network of people who can tell you and pat you on the back and say, I'm proud of you for taking that stand. And I think that's where our young people need to be, but also just reminding that they have something to offer and someone's willing to listen.
It's such an important message to know, to believe in your power to change the narrative. And I guess the one thing I would add to that is, because it can be overwhelming, and like right now, especially, it's a very dark time in our world with the pandemic and the racial strife and political tensions. But you can start small. And you start with one little step. Maybe it's calling your state representative on an issue that you care about, or reposting something on your social media account to educate and inform people on an issue that you care about. So thank you for that whole topic of changing the narrative. And it's important to me, Bobbi, that each and every young person out there knows that they have the power to change the narrative.
Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned another way that you advocate is that you ran for office. And I just want to talk about that for a second, because I know that you're one of the youngest people ever elected to the Bridgeport Board of Education. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's such an important role in our public education systems. Can you just talk a little bit about your advocacy through that board role, and what was your call to serve there, and how did you take action on that call to serve?
Awesome. So in high school, I served on the superintendent's, I was a freshman, I served on the superintendent's roundtable, where he would come in and he would put a group of young people together to talk about what they thought was happening within their high schools. That was my first experience with understanding of the value of advocacy in the educational system. And that was really awesome. And it started stirring up the ideas of things that we want to see, whether it was books, whether it was more teachers, whether it was more privileges, whatever. If we wanted to paint the school, we had an opportunity to have the ear of the principal and the superintendent to say, hey, this is important to us, and this is why we're here, and we're standing on this as a group of young people. And then I went away to college, and I came back from home, and came home from college, and I said to myself, how could I impact my community? What could I add to it? And an opportunity opened itself where there was a seat available to serve on the Board of Education. And this goes back to my point that I was sharing earlier with Tiara, is the value of it is that I thought that because I didn't get the seat the first time, because whatever happened, that they end up finding someone to take the seat, that didn't stop me. I still applied the first time, got everything that I needed, went through the interview process, but something out of my power, not out of my doing, happened where they selected someone else. So I didn't sweat about it. I said, okay, maybe it's not meant for me right now, and that's okay. So when that happened, I said to myself, okay, fine, I'll find something else to do. And I started building my network and my power with 100 Girls Leading. And before I knew it, after, hosting one of the biggest events in Bridgeport, parents started pouring into me and was like, there's need for change in our communities. You could go bigger than this and make a greater impact as well. Not saying that 100 Girls Leading isn't a great impact, but you could advocate all day long, and that may be some people's, thing that they can do, but there's also people who can advocate and then write and make policy changing. And that's where the Board of Ed seat came in. And I was like, okay, I could do this. And I started getting mentored by some individuals within my community, and they started saying to me, here's what you need to do. This is how you do it. This is how you get on a ballot. This is how you get nominated. This is how you get endorsed, all of those things. So I'm learning, and it's going super fast. But it was different for me because I was already doing the work in the community. So when I started knocking on doors and telling people, hey, don't forget to vote, I'm on the ticket, please don't forget to vote, people open up their doors and, oh, you're that young lady that's been working in the community. Oh, you're that young lady that did 100 Girls Leading. Oh, you're that young lady that's always on TV talking about this or talking about that. So people had already knew who I was based off the work I was doing before I ever ran for office. So it made it easier for people to say, I can trust you to sit on the seat and do great things because I've already seen you do those great things in your community. And I said to myself, okay, I think I can do this. And that's what opened up the door for me once I became on the board. And I'm now board secretary, so I get a chance to, be a part of the planning process of a lot of things. And I'm not even gonna lie, it has been a learning experience, and there has been some challenges, some bumps in the road. I'm younger than everyone on there, so I'll never walk into a room and thinking I know it all. I always walk into the room expecting to learn something first off. So people think, oh, she's quiet. Oh, she is, but give her an opportunity to learn. And once I learn and find what's valuable and how I think I can impact, that's when all the passion and the fire comes out. So I'm always in a learning position. And I think that's another thing young people need to do, is that we have to be okay with not knowing it all, because we were not born when some of these great leaders were born. So we're still just learning what everything is and how everything moves and maneuvers. So I spent, the honeymoon phase on the board of learning how I can impact what's already written in stone, what's already able to be changed, all those things. And now I'm able to use my voice on what I think is important, advocating for our students, advocating for our parents, speaking up, and also to listening to the community, hearing what the community says, but also to separating the two too, because I have to make real serious decisions that the community may not understand right now, but in the end, it will impact them or impact their children. So it has been interesting. It has been an interesting learning journey, but also too, I've seen a lot more of young people get on the bandwagon of learning how municipal powers work in the community, how people in office work in the community, but also seeing that how just the other day I was on the other side of things, advocating. Now I'm on this side of it, and I actually get to affect policy. So it's very important, and to know that you can use both. You can do both. You could be an advocate and a policymaker, or you could be a policymaker and listen to those that are advocating so that you know what to go and fight for.
That's a great perspective. And Tira, I'm going to hand it to you to ask the next question. But before you do, I just want to let our audience know that after Tira's question, we're going to take your questions, and you can post your question either in the Q&A function or in the chat box. And we're also streaming live to Facebook, and we've got people watching there. So if you have a question on Facebook, just type it out in the Facebook, and we'll read it aloud to you into the Zoom. So with that, Tira, you want to ask the next question?
Yeah, of course. So obviously you have such an extensive resume. You're such a great speaker. I know I'm already inspired from what you've told me already. So I guess the question is, where do you see yourself going in the future? And I know that you've done so much already, and I know that you have experience already in policy and community organizing. So do you think you're going to be on the path to like branching out and like furthering your efforts, maybe going up and beyond what you've already done, basically?
Absolutely. I believe that, I'll just put it like this. I think of it as, I don't know what next steps will look like for my future. I will say that. And I'm just being honest and transparent. However, I have this gut feeling that I'm going to do something great outside of the work that I've already done. And I hold on to that gut feeling with everything that I do. And I continue to put myself in good situations so that I can be impactful, whatever that's going to look like. I know I'm going to run for office again. I'm not sure what it will look like or what office that will be, but I know that's in the near future for me. And I say that with confidence because I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. I know the passion. I know the network that I bring to the table. So it's just a matter of what is it that, I believe in God. So whatever it is for God, that God would have for me, whatever it is that he will see for my future. But I do believe, and I do know, and I stand confident to you and Miss West and to everyone that's watching, I'm going to do something great outside of the work I've already done, somewhere where I can affect great change on a bigger scale, because I think that's important too. And I'm not discounting the where I am now, because I'm doing great things now, but I believe that some of the work that I want to see done in our communities and in our state, in Washington, are so important. and that I'm going to be able to look back at this conversation and say, well, Live Girl heard it first, you know, so I'm going to be able to say that, and 100 Girls Leading have seen that, and I'm building my nonprofit so that I can be able to pass the torch to somebody else. And that's where that leadership and that mentorship comes in. A lot of times we mentor people and we try to hold them and to mold them in that small spot that we think that they deserve to stay in. But mentorship is not about that. Empowering is not about that. Advocacy is not about that. Advocacy is about opening the minds of those individuals who are like-minded like you, that want to go places and do great things, but also telling them that sooner or later we're going to kick you out the nest and you got to do what you got to do. And that's what is important. And I think that's where a lot of mentors and mentees forget. They are there to help get you to the next step, not hold you in the same spot that you're in. And that's why I'm help building the network that I have with my girls and having with my board, and reminding them that, yes, this is my brainchild. Yes, this is my baby, but I'm not going to be in the same spot forever. I'm looking to pass that on to somebody else who can carry that same vision, that same goal that I have for my nonprofit and or my business or my community work, because I believe that you can only rise if you understand that you have to pass it to somebody behind you. Somebody behind you needs to know that it's their time to run that same race. And if anything, when they're running that race, their path may look different from mine. But the idea of it is that I know where I need to go. I need to help them get to where they need to go, kick them out the nest, push them out there and say, hey, you got a cheerleading team behind you. But at the same time, I don't want to miss my dreams and my visions and my goals because I feel like I need to be stuck just right here. So I believe whatever that may look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I definitely believe that I'll be affecting policy and change on a bigger scale. Hey, maybe senator one day. I don't know. I may be in Washington one day. I don't know. But the idea is I'm going to be somewhere great, affecting great change in my community.
Well, Bobbi, you are great. And I can say with 100% certainty that you're going to go on and do something great. And you've got my vote for senator. So our first question that just came in here from Naomi Dawkins says, hi, Bobbi, how can young people get involved with 100 Girls Leading?
Absolutely. So on our website, you can actually log in on our website and put your questions or concerns or what areas you would like to be involved in. Our website is 100girlsleadinginc.org, and you'll be able to see the different programs, the different aspects. You can volunteer. If you're looking to volunteer, we have a form that you can fill out. Also, too, you could be a 100 Girls Leading ambassador, teaching young girls how to go into their schools and in their communities and teach the other young girls what it's like to lead and what it's like to be empowering within the community in itself. I think that's important. And what the cool thing about 100 Girls Leading, advocacy is only one pillar of what we do. We do believe in advocacy as an important thing, but we talk about education, we talk about empowerment, we talk about community development. There's so many different areas that young people and young girls can be involved in. So I would say join us, and then tell us what it is that you would like to see, and then we can help connect you to those programs that are within a community that are doing that same work and empowering other people as well.
Awesome. So I just want to remind everyone, if you have a question, you can ask it now, either in the Q&A function or the chat. And we'll give that just a minute, Bobbi, but I just have one last question. So, we referenced earlier that it is a dark time in our world right now. So what gives you hope? Like, what inspires you, or who are the change makers out there right now that are inspiring you?
Absolutely, it would have to be the young people. I look at it this way. They give you that, we give that desire to want to see change. And I am not gonna lie, Ms. West, it has been discouraging at times because it can feel like all the work that you're doing, they're not hearing you, they're not seeing you, they don't believe in you. And when I say they, I'm talking about those that have the power to change what it is that we're advocating for. And I'll give a perfect example. give her an example of when we say change. One of the issues in my hometown, we were dealing with the Christopher Columbus statue, wanting it to be removed based off of the deep-rooted suppression of Black and brown people or people of color. And it was so great to see young people take that mantle and me to be there, be able to be there to support them. And I remember telling them the day of their march, I said to them, I said, whether it comes down today, tomorrow, or comes down in the next couple years, it is important that you stood up and you saw something you believe worth fighting in, and you had evidence that it was worth fighting in, and we marched and we allowed our voices to be heard. So don't discount that as if the change doesn't happen tomorrow or doesn't happen right now. It may take 5 years. It may take whatever amount of years, but the point of the matter is that change will happen. And I think for me, it's just, it inspired me enough to know that when I was feeling like I wasn't doing the greatest things, or I was feeling like my words were not being heard, to hear a young person say, because of you, you've inspired me to go out there. Because of you, because of the work that you do, I follow what you do. That's inspiring to me. And I'm always lifted by inspiration like that. And my friend has sent me, it was an interview that Michelle Obama and Oprah had did. So 2 women that I absolutely love. But Michelle Obama has said, it's never really about us. It's about the people that are in our communities that we can truly help impact. And when she said that, who do you think she said is just as important, or if not more important? The young people. She said she takes time to hear what they want to hear or hear what they have to say. And then she builds her work around that, because at the end of the day, I'm aging, we're all aging. After a while, I'll be 30 something, and then there will be a 17-year-old, then there will be a 15-year-old, then there'll be an 18-year-old that was once like me, now has that fire and that passion for changing their communities. Now, what do I tell them? How do I tell them that their work is just as important as it was when I was 18? That's my calling, to keep the young people first, because they are the ones that are shaping the world. They're the ones that will continue to shape the world. And they have to really they have to really see that people like myself and like Miss West and those that are watching this today believe in them. So the young people are my inspiration. But then I have Oprah and Michelle Obama that remind me constantly that I am their inspiration. So it works all together. So it's all about that passing of the baton and reminding them that the passion that you have today will definitely be passion for tomorrow. So I think it's important.
Well, you are definitely an inspiration, and you've inspired me today. And I think we've all learned so much from you today in regard to advocacy, but I just jotted down 4 kind of key takeaways.
Mm-hmm.
That whatever you do, put your fire behind it is number 1. Number 2 is, to find your power. Number 3 is to lean into your network. And number 4 is to believe in your power to change the narrative. So, I just thought everything you said was so amazing, Bobbi, and so helpful. And I just want to thank you again for everything you're doing to make the world a better place, and for coming back and supporting Live Girl. And I think together we will definitely make sure that every girl has what she needs to thrive and to make positive change in this world. So
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. So Tia, any final closing words?
I just want to say thank you so much, Bobbi, for this conversation. I hope everybody who is still watching, thank you so much. We appreciate you, and I know that Sherry is also very grateful for everything. And yeah, thank you again, Bobbi. Really so inspiring for me, especially. But yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you for having me. Thank you, Ms. West, for giving me an opportunity. I'm grateful for any opportunity that I can share what it is that I do, but also too to make new connections and make new friends. I'm big on just building that network. I think it's so powerful because you never know who you're going to need and who you're going to impact. So, and I want to say thank you for 100 Girls Leading, and to my assistant, Natalie. She is amazing. And thank you for thank you for everything. Just the idea that, Natalie is also, and I'll share this and then I'll shut up. Natalie is my assistant. But however, she is a young, dynamic individual. And I thought it was so cool that, even though I'm learning this whole being a founder and learning things, but I'm also empowering someone else to be also a leader as well. So I want to say thank you, and to everyone, and to Allison for being such a great individual, keeping the communication going back and forth, and knowing how crazy my life is, but still managing to make everything great. So if you see her, please tell her I said thank you. So thank you again. And to my 100 Girls Leading team, I absolutely appreciate you guys and love you guys. And we're going to do great things. Live Girl, 100 Girls Leading. We're going to impact the community. And I believe it's all about the sisterhood. We can't let a sister down.
Well, thank you so much. So everyone, you can go onto our website under our Equality and Inclusion tab and look at all of the past replays of our Listen, Learn, Act series. And our next conversation will be on October 22nd with Simone Morris. So we hope you'll tune in then. So thank you, everyone.